Welcome back to the Alec Lewis Show. I am your host, Alec Lewis. This is episode 85, recording on Thursday, May 22nd. Our guest for you today is the host of Night and Noon on KFAN. His name is Paul Allen. Usually I'm on his show every week, but I'm not going to be this week, so we decided to do it over here on the Alec Lewis Show feed. If you're watching on YouTube, please hit that subscribe button. If you're listening on Apple, Spotify, iHeart, we appreciate you guys over there. PA, we talked about Vikings, we talked some Wolves, asked him a little bit about Kevin Harlan. It was a very fun conversation, as it always is. So appreciate you guys being here for it. As always, this show is presented by First Resource Bank. That's a member FDIC bank in the Minneapolis area. It's run by Tim Siegley, Aaron Siegley, Charlie Anderson. They are very big Minnesota sports fans. They're locked into the Wolves right now. They are always at the Vikings games, and they really have produced an online banking platform that's great, an in-person banking opportunity that's incredibly easy to set up and find with branches all over the area, and just really good people who care about supporting this community. So please go check them out. The link for First Resource, all the branches, everything you need is in the description below. I also, if you listen to the end of last episode, I shouted out one of my colleagues, Lindsey Young, who works for the Vikings and writes for the Vikings, does a phenomenal job doing it. Just came out with a children's book called Olivia the Brave, which champions mental health, something near and dear to me. She put a lot of work into it. It's an awesome book, both, for parents, for children. So please, the link to purchase that is in the description. Please go help out Lindsay. She is as good of people as you're going to find. So would really appreciate that. The Wolves, man, this series, very interesting. Been to all the games, have written some Wolves stuff at The Athletic. If you missed it, I wrote a Conley story at the end of last series, did something against during the Warriors series, also on Nickeil Alexander-Walker, and then some more stuff coming. Hopefully, hope to be in the building for some of these Western Conference Finals, and it's bench play's got to be better. Talk about the Shea foul thing until the cows come home, but if the bench isn't making shots and producing at a better level, this thing's not going to be as fun of a series as I hope it is. So I hope they turn the tide tonight, and we will see very, very soon if they can do that. Without further ado, here is Paul Allen from KFAN. Paul Allen, welcome back to the Alec Lewis Show. How are you?
I'm doing quite well. With the overarching answer to that is I'm going to heaven. Life is beautiful. However, there are details in life for me and for all of us that sometimes ain't great. And I just cracked open the mail, and I'm not going to show you her address. This is the third photo ticket my daughter has gotten in the last 3 weeks out Colorado way. So anyway, That details kind of made me pear-shaped, but I'm ready to chat everything purple and gold with one of my favorites, Alec Lewis.
Yeah, we're going to do some Vikings talk, and I'm glad you covered the address because I was a little worried as you pulled that out that we were going to be.
Were you that kind of kid when you went to Missouri? I mean, did you get photo tickets? Well, you were?
Yes. Absolutely. I mean, but here's what I have to say. These college town parking police are, these are people you want, like, they are so good. Their observatory ability, it's striking. They know when you park there, how long you've been there, and how much money they can make off you. It's very impressive. My father, John, who you mentioned on the show that you do very often, there were moments where he wasn't very happy with me because I had some run-ins with the Missouri parking police. But anyways, it happens. We're going to talk purple and gold.
Your father, John, is a barrister by trade. So if possible, I'll do 10 podcasts for you during the season at no charge if he'll represent my daughter from afar with this photo ticket scam that's really, really hard to beat. I'd at least like to delay it. But anyway.
Yeah, there's no question. I'm not sure if he's a member of the Colorado State Bar, but anyways, we'll see. I'll connect you guys. You can figure that out. Before we get to purple and gold, I want to ask you this. So I imagine you watched the Knicks-Pacers game last night. If you didn't watch the whole thing, then you at least saw the highlight. Kevin Harlan was on the call. It feels like every time there's a game like this, he's on the call. But I want to ask you, because you do this for a living, what is it about that guy and the way he calls games that impresses you most, or that you like the most? Like the thing about Kevin Hart, or that you're envious of, or you appreciate, because you know that job way better than I ever would, and I know you have the immense respect for him. So I wanted to ask you.
First time I've ever been asked that question, and I'm really glad you did. The answer is Kevin's heart. So we're going to start there. Kevin has one of the biggest hearts of anybody I've met in this industry. Now, I started calling Vikings games in 2002, so we're before social media, and finding highlights. I guess you got to hear them on the radio or something like that, maybe ESPN. But in my second year, we were at Soldier Field, and I'm getting ready for the game, like 2004, and somebody behind me hugs me and goes, you, and then he went through, he introduced himself, and I was taken aback, and he went through a list of things that I was doing that he liked, and he said are different because you've never done this before, and I don't want you to ever stop doing these. However, there are a couple of things. He had heard my game. He intentionally listened to my games somehow. And he went through another list of things that he wants me to change. And he, along with former KFAN teammate Chad Hartman, now on WCCO radio, he was calling Wolves games at the time. Well, Chad would pull me to the side too, and offer me some pointers. So those guys were invaluable to me. But with Kevin's heart, it starts there, and everything that comes out of it is what we all hear and see. I'm a limb on the Kevin Harlan tree. God gifted me with that energy and childlike excitement that he has. Yeah. His descriptions and his adjectives, for instance, in football, the white towels blowing in the wind, and outside of the hash marks, wheel route to the right, cuts on a linebacker who went to Savannah State out of bounds at the 20. Whoa! So he daggers things with that awesome voice, builds a crescendo better than anybody, and his descriptions are second to none. So Kevin Harlan is the elite of all elite, ever too elite, in my estimation. And it starts with his heart. He's awesome.
I just and that was awesome. That was a great answer.
I'm really glad you asked me that question.
No, as I'm watching that game last night, I mean, the game was phenomenal, obviously. Oh. And I love basketball, the Knicks and the Garden. It's amazing. But to have him on the call takes it to that notch that I appreciate. I love. I mean, it is. He's knifing. He's piling. He's twirling. It's impressive, yeah.
And somebody dribbles down, and somebody dribbles to the key into a double team. He's in the torture chamber. Whoa! He's in a straitjacket. Yeah, he is just so wonderful. And now that you got me thinking about it a little bit, I mean, Mike Breen doing NBA he's fantastic, very melodic and smooth. Does Knicks games on TV for Yes or MSG, whatever it is, with Clyde the Glide Frazier. He's his analyst. I mean, Glide's phenomenal. But, outside of that, Marv Albert doesn't do games anymore. My guy Chick Hearn died years ago. There's some really good team play-by-play guys on TV and radio, but Breen and Harlan, those two are awesome.
How often, as you're watching a game, are you actually focused on the game, or do you think about the commentators and what you're listening? Are you able to just tune it out ever?
No, because nobody can tune it out if you have the volume up.
Sure.
But for me, it's like that game last night, when Neesmith started hitting those threes, and, watching Indiana kind of dust them early, and then the Knicks blew by Indiana like the Pacers were tied to a post. And now Cat's starting to play well, so now I'm starting to think, this is great. Wolves get killed in the first game, and Cat's team, what if they go to the finals and he wins the title and becomes Finals MVP, and DiVincenzo's doing his best to make the trade look bad right now. I just started thinking those negative thoughts.
Wow.
But then you enjoy the game, and there are things with the calls that I'm just attuned to where it's going to hit me, and I'm going to be like, hey, or I might rewind it if I'm watching the game with somebody and say, listen to this or watch that. So yeah, I'm always dialed into it.
Yeah, that's good stuff. All right, we'll get some Vikings real quick. You talked a lot of Wolves lately. I could do that for a while, but they play on Thursday night, and we'll see how that one plays out before you and I talk about that. Just generally thinking about this Viking season, 2025, J.J. McCarthy in the driver's seat of a Ferrari. What is your excitement level for? You got OTAs next week. You got mandatory minicamp. And soon enough time we'll be at training camp. You'll be on the perch with the binoculars that are bigger than my entire arm, and you'll be watching guys and seeing their body type. But honestly, serious, this has to be from an anticipation perspective. You got to be excited about what's possible, because I know I am.
Yeah, I am now, but I think I'm excited for different reasons than other people. Simply because I want the team to win, and coming in, this is going to be my 24th season working with the team calling the game. So, it's each game is like they're like snowflakes. They're all the same, but they're different. So I have a different level of excitement each week. But what I start getting excited for now is I'll take vacation days at KFAN when the Wolf season is over, and then I'll start going to some OTAs, earlier in the morning. And basically, it's not to watch the double moves, the Maryland receivers putting on somebody. It's not that. It's basically
right.
It's basically to catch up and just start being present. I start calling races at Canterbury this coming up Saturday, May 24th, but I don't get out to Canterbury a ton in the winter. I don't bet horses or follow it super closely. And when it comes to the Vikings, they lose that playoff game in Arizona, and I don't get to the facility a ton. I'm not over there a lot because I firmly believe absence makes the heart grow fonder. And distance is never disdain. It's just keeping things fresh for me or different than maybe you or John or somebody else. So I'm going to start getting over there. For sure. Chet Holmgren, the string bean baller. But I'll start getting over there and just being present. And then when we actually get to, I love joint practices. So the New England bit's going to be the bomb. Here comes Stephon Diggs. Here comes Todd Downing, one of my very first friends. Chad Graff, for sure, with The Athletic. We could have The Athletic Hour, 9 to noon on the exclusive perch overlooking the Mike Hughes Memorial Field. But Todd Downing, what a story he is. He's quarterbacks coach for the Patriots. And when I started calling games in 2002, that was his first year as Tice's quality control guy. Before that, he worked in media relations with Bob Hagan. So Downing will tell you he picked up Mike Tice at the airport. They chatted from Bloomington to Eden Prairie's Winter Park, and then he ended up becoming a coach. And he's been a quarterbacks coach for the Lions, the Raiders. He just worked with A-Rod, with the Jets, all over the place. So I love
Titans,
Todd.
I think.
Say it again.
I think he was with the Titans, too.
Yes, the Titans with Vrabel. That's right. Vrabel's back there. That's key. That's key. It's how the game works, whether people like it or not. I can't. So that really excites me. And then finally, there are two more. The season opener at Ben Johnson in his first game. That's Now see, I'm in it for that. Okay, and Dennis Allen, by the way, is a bad bleep defensive coordinator, so that's going to be a fun one. But then secondly, I know the home schedule is tough. The home schedule is awesome. The Christmas Day game I don't prefer, but you know what? It's going to be an awesome middle afternoon game against the Lions. But to get the Super Bowl champions here, Joe Burrow here early, And Lamar's here. Jaden Daniels is here. And then plus you got Green Bay and beloved Ben Johnson. I mean, the home schedule rocks.
Yeah, I mean, you didn't Saquon too, and that Eagles defense. I mean, you get that matchup. I haven't covered this Vikings team where I mean, every time the Vikings play the Eagles, it's for some reason on a Monday night, week 2 in Philadelphia. I don't know why that always happened, but now it won't, which is awesome. But yeah, the schedule. I mean, you just said it: Burrow, Lamar, Saquon, Jaden Daniels, Jahmyr Gibbs. Hopefully they can tackle him better than they did at the end of last year. Ben Johnson, Caleb Williams. You know, it really is a heck of a schedule. But I'm glad you said that week 1 game, and I could tell your excitement just from that reaction. For me, I said the other day, I can't imagine when you're Ben Johnson and you get the schedule and it's like, all right, here we go. We're about to run through this whole division. We're going to win championships. I'm talking a big game. And who's our first opponent? Brian Flores. With an off season to design the defense around new personnel. Like, for as much as there's going to be hype about what is this Chicago Bears offense going to look like with Ben Johnson, for Brian Flores to be the first opponent having no film of what his 2025 defense is going to look like to go up against, probably not the most enjoyable name to see pop up on the slate. I'd imagine you would agree with that.
Yeah, I can't wait to see some plays that are reminiscent of what we saw 2 times last year with the Lions, but really ever since Ben has been there. And it's like, some type of sneaky bubble screen right. And, oh, no, there goes Jahmyr Gibbs, 30, 20. Somebody whiffed on a tackle at the 15, and Gibbs has scored for a 3rd time. Kevin Harlan joins the call now. He went up high. He came down hard. But then, so we got the bubble screen right, and then Ben's looking at Dennis Allen or somebody on the sideline saying, how come they keep tackling Roschon Johnson on a play that's worked every single time I've run it? And somebody's going to go, because he's not Jahmyr Gibbs. That's why. So just things like that are going to be so compelling. I mean, Ben Johnson I'm not kidding you. Yeah, he might come out of the gate in that game with a trick play on the very first play. Very first play.
I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, the odds of it are high, and the hard part with the Vikings is, if I were prognosticating what Kevin O'Connell did on the first Vikings offensive play, it would have been a bootleg to Johnny Munt. But the problem is Johnny Munt is no longer here, so it's going to be difficult to try to prognosticate and concoct. Just in general, I mean, obviously, I said we were going to talk a little bit about the schedule. I mean, it feels to me like, okay, you go at Bears, then you come back. That's Monday night. Then you come back week 2, Sunday Night Football against Michael Penix and the Falcons. Week 3, Joe Burrow comes to town. And then week 4 and 5, we're going across the pond that would be probably, that would be enjoyable probably. And you got Gypsy the Kitty behind you in the chat.
Alec, how long are you? So, like, I think the Vikings, and I go with them, I think we leave Thursday. It's like we've done before. The Friday, take the willies off it. Hey, I'm getting a call right now. You know who just called me? Tim Siegley from First Resource Bank. Wow.
It's incredible.
Hopefully my account's not at 0. Tim Siegley, First Resource Bank, a proud provider and sponsor for the Alec Lewis podcast. So shake the willies out Friday early, try to stay awake. Go to practice, maybe do the show, stuff like that. Then when they venture to London early the next week, how long are you going to be there during that? And I'm asking because it'd be great to have you join the radio show just about every single day.
Yeah. I plan to be there probably around the same time, that Thursday before the Dublin game. The problem is, I mean, I'm bad with time zones. I'm bad with direction. So, I mean, to just land in Dublin, especially if I'm on my own, I mean, I'm going to really need to be on my P's and Q's. It's not going to be easy. And then I think I'd be staying over for that next week, probably do the London game at Tottenham. And then, I mean, who knows? May hop down to Spain for the bye week and scout some players for, but the me bringing it up, that first 5 weeks, it feels to me like knowing what is looming after that, you gotta be probably around 3-2 after that stretch. I mean, maybe I'm asking too much. Maybe it doesn't matter. But when you come out of that week 6 and it is Philadelphia at home, the Chargers on a short week on Thursday night, at Detroit in week 9, and then back home against Lamar week 10. There's got to be, it feels to me like there's got to be some kind of cushion built up in some capacity over the first 5 weeks. What do you make of that?
I don't think they're losing the Europe games. Simply because of the neutral field bit where, road team, but not road game. They're just, I know we had the double doink against New Orleans, first time Tottenham. So I mean, they're not cinches there, but I think they'll win those games. If they can beat Joe Burrow, and they are at home, Zach Taylor, O'Connell, we go back to the Rams days. They're very good friends. And it's Joe Burrow, okay? So now you got the Chase Jefferson weird thing all week up to it. If they can win that game, they could be 5-0. They could be 5-0 into the bye. I would expect them. They beat Atlanta with Josh Dobbs. Okay. So, now at Chicago, week 1, it could be a 50-50 game, but I just like O'Connell a lot in that spot. And I think they're better than the Bears. So, and then, Pittsburgh and Cleveland, tough for sure. But I think the Vikings have better overall personnel. Now, that second one before the bye, this is not to shortchange or, this is with all due respect because we're chatting here on the A-Lou podcast, and I'm just kind of spitballing and thinking. But that's a long time to be over there. And when you start to get to Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and it starts to get monotonous for the players up to a game, they're really going to have to call on themselves into that second game to find the energy they had the previous game. It's a long time away from home, man. O'Connell and his staff are really, really good at recognizing things like that. And likewise for Tyler Williams with the training staff who run sports performance. So they'll be cognizant of that, but human nature gets to win too. And when you play these games at Tottenham Hotspur, you've been there twice. The crowd brings you into it.
No question.
They'll get that spark Sunday, but I just wonder how much different Pittsburgh is going to be than Cleveland because of the week and a half you've been there.
Yeah, it's a great point. Like, there's only so many times you can go visit Big Ben. There's only so many Guinnesses you could drink. It's funny you mentioned Atlanta and the Vikings beating Atlanta with Josh Dobbs. I don't know if I ever told you the story, but that day it was supposed to be Jaron Hall against Taylor Heineke. And that weekend in Georgia, Missouri played at the University of Georgia. And I had a bunch of friends from college going down to the game, and they were like, do you want to come? I'm like, I'm working. And they're like, look, it's Jaron Hall against Taylor Heineke. What are you really going to have to be doing on that Sunday? I'm like, fine, I'll go. So I went that Saturday night. I had way too good of a night in Athens, Georgia. I got to the stadium. My eyes were glazed over a tad. And then the craziest story in the NFL that week breaks out. And I had to call John Krasinski for sidebar duty to come help me out. Considering the night I had the night before. But that was a wild one. I will say, Michael Penix, I'll be pretty interested to see what he looks like this year. He kind of came on. He was obviously picked ahead of J.J. McCarthy. And so that night is probably more sneaky, interesting, and fun than it probably seems on the surface. To get to that little second stretch, the Philadelphia, Chargers, Lions, Ravens, that's got to be close to as difficult of a stretch that you can probably remember. For me, it's got to be the toughest 4-game stretch that Kevin O'Connell has had in the regular season, but it feels like it is about as difficult as it gets.
And then nearing the end of the year, they have 4 or 5 on the road. So, those, and then plus the 2 in Europe, and you start on the road Monday Night Football against a super smart coach and, a quarterback who's pretty good probably will be better. So, man, it's tough. It is tough. But, all the way back to what excites you, that question, it's tough. It's not the first super tough schedule I've seen in my 24 doing this job. I appreciate the level of competition. Certain road trips, where certain games fall, because of the tricky nature for coaches. And then, you get to see how people handle themselves when things are tougher than playing the AFC South. And I just love all that kind of stuff, man. And we're around each other enough there, so that I mean, I do it differently than the media. We just pull different things out of it, and then I become reliant on you guys to like get the minutia of stuff. And that gauntlet that you laid out there, I mean, I can't even make a record prediction there. It's, I called a Lamar Jackson game a few years ago. Were you on the job?
No, I've never seen him play in person.
Okay. Yeah, it's the only time I believe I've seen him too. And that morning, I mean, Cam Bynum, Indianapolis Colts go crazy. Harrison had run the one spot the entire week, and then he got bit, the COVID bit. He had to scratch day of game, like 4 hours before. Cam Bynum came in that game, man. I think he sacked Lamar. I think he had an interception, and he played his tail off. And back when people liked Justin Tucker, one of the strange things with the way the Ravens were promoting football at that time, you would drive into M&T or whatever it's called, and you see the big billboard, and it would be Lamar Jackson, and then somebody else, and then Justin Tucker in the middle. I'm like, damn. I mean, you must be pretty good as an HOF kicker, man, to have your face right in the middle. But Lamar, the thing that amazed me about him is he throws knuckleballs. I mean, he will throw 10 or 15 knuckleballs in the game that come up short, barely get there. He knows what he's doing, but there are times he uncorks passes, and they're on time, and they're perfectly spiraled. And wow, he's an awesome player to watch. You're going to love it.
I'm going to go back probably in the lead up to that game, but there was a matchup between Brian Flores and Lamar Jackson where, if I'm not mistaken, Brian Flores blitzed cover zeroed Lamar Jackson at least 30 snaps in that game. Like, it was like all out, like iron to the fire, as much pressure as you could apply, probably because it's like, we got to get the ball out of his hands right now and not let him just torch us. And I'll go back and revisit that, but it's all, I mean, that's part of my, I love
when you got Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins, you can do that. Derrick Henry.
It's a little bit of a different deal. Yeah, it's a different deal. I want to. I mean, I'm not asking you for a record, but I want to. So we can move from here. But I want to throw this at you real quick. So I wrote this thing for.
They'll win 9 or more. So, like last year when I saw that 6.5, and I don't bet on the games or the futures or anything, but I mean, I've worked at a racetrack for 30 years, so I get the game. That was so freaking ridiculous with the AFC South on the schedule, and it got bet up to 7.5. So the sharps picked up on it, made somebody pay. 8.5 is a good number with the AFC North, and you got a new quarterback. Whether you think he's all pro or not, he's new. The 8.5 is a good number, but too much talent, coaching staff too good to not win. I think minimum 10 games.
Yeah, I mean, in the quarterback thing, which we'll talk about 7,000 million times over the next few months, I mean, people, I think, sometimes don't realize Kevin O'Connell has a different quarterbacks every single season, and the Vikings have thrown for 4,000 yards and 30 touchdowns in every season he's been here. Like, that's not just something to sniff at. Again, a second-year pro and J.J. McCarthy coming off the torn meniscus, I get it. As well as I understand the optimism, but just the infrastructure. And I like I said, like, you are literally placing this young quarterback in the Ferrari that is the top of the line. You have the skill players, the coaching, the overhauled interior of the pocket, the running backs with Aaron Jones and Jordan Mason. I mean, you've got a defense that has an improved pass rush with 2 interior guys. I mean, it is as incredible of an opportunity as possible, which gets me to this. So I wrote for Thursday morning, I did kind of the 5 things that I think this season can hinge on. And I just want to throw the 5 at you and get your thoughts.
Yeah.
J.J. McCarthy's play, obviously. the importance of the roster being healthy,
Yep.
rushing effectiveness and short yardage,
Yep.
the secondary's performance, especially if it stays with Harrison Smith, Theo Jackson, Josh Metellus, Isaiah Rodgers, Byron Murphy Jr. And then the fifth is special teams just needing to be a little bit more on the screws from a punting standpoint. Obviously, the kicking stuff, Will Reichard's injury last year, and then the return game just has not really given them much. And with the kickoff being moved to where there are probably going to be more returns, to me it just feels more important. But how do those five hit you? Is there something I'm missing? Is there one of those that really stands out to you?
Well, I like the way you laid it out previously with McCarthy and the Ferrari, and him being the driver, and then all the components of the Ferrari around him. The only thing you left out, and I think it's very important, are the mechanics, the ones who tune it, the coaches, is because just like there was a lot of misguided analysis of Sam Darnold that I would hear last year nationally, it caused me to say, stop. Robbie Anderson and Ian Thomas are not Justin Jefferson and TJ Hawkinson or whomever. They're not. And Matt Rule holding up the big board with Ronald McDonald here and the color blue here and some Ferrari here and Tinkermell there. No, you ain't beating O'Connell, man. This is the pros, all right? So that was Sam. With JJ, he just, how am I going to put this? You know how smart Kevin is. You know how smart offensive coordinator Wes Phillips is. You know how smart tight ends coach Brian Angelico is. The orchestrator or maybe perhaps lead person on red zone offense. It can go on and on. Keenan McCardell should be an offensive coordinator somewhere, in my opinion. Chris Cooper and Modkins, and now I'm going to name them all in case somebody watches it. But
Keith Carter, Ryan Cordell, Chris O'Hara.
The new
Udinski. Jordan
Traylor. Chad O'Shea. Chris O'Hara. We're going to call the new Grant Nudinsky. I would never do that. But anyway, it's that staff where they're so smart and they work so hard and things are snappy for these guys. There's not a lot of hemming and hawing. They push the envelope. They're very competitive. So they're going to know exactly how to raise this kid. And they're going to know where he is each week from a problematic standpoint, and they're going to keep him away from it. But it's not going to be what everybody can see on film. Hey, we've seen 17 bootlegs right, 4 left. We're going to do this. Okay, yeah, we know that you know that we know that you know that's age old. There's going to be nuance with the maturity that others won't know. Or it won't be apparent, and they're really going to massage those as he grows. So I would add that with McCarthy. With the DBs, you said if. The room looks like Harrison Smith all the way through Isaiah Rodgers, Jeff Okudah, and stuff like that. Nudie guy. I'm going to make the I and the F all caps, and I'm going to put quotation marks around it. And I'm going to make it bold and italicize it because I do think it is a big fat if as we approach the end of May.
No, I think that's very fair. That's very well said. To the McCarthy point, I actually think it's very relevant right now too that you say that, because here's what's going to happen. OTA is going to start next week. All of the media members are going to be out there for practice, and I'll lead with myself here. And every throw that JJ makes is going to be watched, it's going to be analyzed, it's going to be charted, it's going to be reported on. And whether he succeeds incredibly or whether he struggles a little bit, there's going to be noise around that. And sometimes in these developmental settings, like next week, like mandatory minicamp, he is working on things that could either lead to certain struggles because he's trial and error, like on the driving range, because this isn't the actual season. And sometimes he might really succeed with the way he performs. But I think it's a great point. It's a good reminder, even for me, going into these next few weeks of, people want to read about how JJ looks every day while we're out there. And we will talk about it, we will write about it, but there also has to be an understanding, even in the writing and the reporting of, there's a lot of factors at play. There's footwork aspects that we don't see. There's certain cues that coaches are giving him that we won't be able to know or hear. So it's a great point. As far as secondary, it would be very interesting to see. It will be very interesting to see as this thing kind of gets closer to training camp, what veteran free agents are available. Could they get creative in terms of acquisition? Do they need to do that? I do know this. You've seen Theo Jackson in all of these events, just like I have, summer, fall. He's always been impressive, and I expect him to have a lot of runway. Isaiah Rodgers, they really believe in, specifically the defensive staff, and I'm going to trust their eye because they've hit the nail on the head many times in recent years. But depth's going to be important, and making sure they're. And I also say this, and we can shut it down soon. But it's. I do think there is more leeway with the secondary, knowing that the pass rush could be potentially incredibly dominant. I mean, you have, and it's going to depend on health, but Grenard, Van Ginkel, Hargrave, Allen, Dallas Turner, Ivan Pace, Blake Cashman. I mean, when you have the quarterback getting rid of the ball quicker, means less time to cover. It means you have more leeway on the back end. So going to be pretty interesting. But I thought the McCarthy thing is very well said by you. It's probably important to keep in mind.
Well, with the secondary, and I was going to get into the 10-year-old phone and try to get to your story quickly in the archives at The Athletic. I forgot to share this with you on the radio. But I'm not worried about the secondary room or the corners. I don't think they need to trade for Jalen Ramsey. I don't think they need to wait for a 30-some-odd-year old corner around training camp, and here's why. And you have a lot to do with it. What's the name of the corner who's undrafted you wrote about in a recent story and made sound like a cross between Lester Hayes, Deion Sanders, and Darrelle Revis? He was undrafted. It might have been a note.
Zamiah Vaughn from Utah, potentially. He made an unbelievable interception in the honey hole, and then you had O'Connell patting him on the helmet,
wait. Who was the corner Travis Hunter said covered me better than anybody?
Okay, so that's Tommy Hill. He hasn't been signed as an undrafted. He was just kind of rookie. Yeah, interesting player.
Do I need to hear anything else?
Interesting.
Honestly, if I'm nudie guy, I'm sleeping with one eye open.
I like Dwight McClellan. Great kid. Really works hard, and I'm looking forward to seeing how that plays out.
You made Tommy Hill sound like a cross between Trent McDuffie and Darryl Green. It was unbelievable.
Lester Hayes. I don't know. Here's the thing. Lester Hayes, only the reason I know that name is NFL Street. So it's not like you're
Well, Lester Hayes, as your father John would tell you, he's old school like me. Lester Hayes had a nickname you maybe shouldn't have used then, but you definitely no longer could have now. Now, he was a corner, so he covered you like a blanket. Of course, they called him Lester the Molester Hayes. Got that? So I ain't trying to get the Alex Lewis podcast canceled. I'm just telling you what his nickname was.
Yeah, that word has not been 85 episodes of the Alex Lewis Show, and it took till now to get it. PA, quick one. Wolves, do you think they win tonight?
Wow. I can't say no because I don't want to say no.
I know.
I hate the must-win stuff, or you got to tank, so you got to suck for luck, so you purposely have to lose games. I just don't like that whole aura.
Sure.
The must-win bit. See, players don't look at it like that ever, and they don't talk about must-win. Okay, it's seriously, man. They're creatures of habit. Routine is important, and it's on to the next one. So they're Wolves
crazy competitors. Every time they're competing, it's do or die every time. That's how these guys are wired.
Right, perfectly stated. They can win tonight. I think that second half OKC displayed was daunting. I think they will regress to the mean a little bit off that. What I really didn't like is OKC pretty much let the Timberwolves shoot all the threes they wanted with
50
the
plus.
underlying tone. You shoot a lot of threes. And you think you're pretty good at it. Well, we don't, especially your guys off the bench. So until you hit 3 in a row or 4, I ain't changing. And we didn't pull them out of whatever they were doing. So that has to flip. So, yeah, hell yeah. Timberwolves win tonight, and we're coming back to Target Center this weekend with Alec Lewis doing the athletic sidebar for Johnny Athletic, and the series is tied at 1.
Phenomenal. I'm for me, it's the bench. It's just Nas, those guys, Dante. They got to be locked in and ready to go. But I really wouldn't be surprised if they won.
I'm not the radio guy, 9 to noon KFAN. That I don't have to be opposite what a majority of the loud crowd says. If they say it and it hits my heart and I think it's right, cool. So I'm not contrarian guy. I heard so much this year, man, about playing Jalen Clark and Terrence Shannon Jr. and playing them more and some reasons why. And I was on the other side of it. I was like, I like these 8. I mean, until DiVincenzo went out there and tried to ruin the trade, and Alexander Walker's shooting has been shoddy. So, I kind of have gotten on board with, if they had given Clark and Shannon Jr. maybe some more time during the year, they might be able to trust them more now. But it's like Isaiah Joe, man. Okay, Dagnalt, their coach, got so bored with him in the second game against Denver. My man played like 3 or 5 minutes every game. The rest of the way, he does one thing: hit 3-pointers. Well, he sensed he needed him in game 1. And Edwards blows a coverage. He hits a 3. That's what he does. But he had 8 rebounds, went to the line 4 times, went 4 of 4. That's what I'm talking about. Somebody in a pinch that you need who has ability. But like with Clark and Shannon Jr., I just honestly don't think they've played enough where you could really trust them,
Yeah. It'll be interesting. Can't wait for the game. Thanks for hopping on. It's always
who are you
good
watching
to
the game
catch
with
up.
tonight? Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay. Anyway, God bless you.
No, I've got some ideas.
I got room in my house if you need. I got a couch open if you want to watch it here.
Yeah, Gypsy was meowing at you. I think she wants you to, you need to be with her tonight. And yeah. All right. Thanks, PA. Always fun. Good to catch up.
You're the best, Alec. Thank you very much, bud.
And that'll do it for episode 85 of the Alec Lewis Show. Appreciate you guys being here. Hope you enjoyed the conversation with PA as much as I did. It's perfect off-season little combo. Some Vikings, some schedule, some big picture. More of that coming your way. Probably wade into this, some more big picture conversations. Some people in the business, I want to hear their stories. Some people within the Vikings that I want to hear stories. So gonna get, have some plans and visions for the next few months as we get ready for OTAs, training camp, and everything to come. I will say OTAs is next week, so I'll do something fresh from that on what I saw that day, what I saw from JJ McCarthy, just all the tidbits that I can get from being out in Egan. So stay tuned to the channel on YouTube, on Apple, on Spotify for all of that. And then in the meantime, do 2 things for me, please. Check out First Resource Bank, and then go purchase Olivia the Brave from Lindsey Young, who writes for the Vikings. That would be I'd be very grateful if you do both those things. And enjoy the weekend. Any other questions you got, toss them in the comments, throw them at me on social media. But we will talk to you guys very, very soon.